Hello, welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. On the show today, critical information so you can stay safe and dry during these challenging times. Up first is the news, but don't touch that remote. There is so much in store for you. It all begins right now.
The JIS Heritage Competition is celebrating 10 years of youth expression on Jamaican history, culture, and tradition. If you're a primary level student, 9 to 12 years old, enter the essay competition. Write 400 to 500 words on the topic. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace. Identify a Jamaican from our past or an institution that exemplifies this statement from our national pledge and say why. Secondary level students, enter the poster competition. And tertiary students, send us your best snap for the photo competition. The topic, I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace. Enter now and play your part in preserving our national heritage. Great prizes to be won. For competition rules and guidelines, contact the JIS.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, October 27. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is assuring persons who have been affected by the recent flood rains that government will be acting swiftly to mobilize resources for their assistance. He gave the reassurance during the commemoration service of the 109th anniversary of the birth of Jamaica's second Prime Minister, Donald Sangster.
I want to assure those who are affected that the government will be acting swiftly and mobilizing resources quickly to, as best as possible, help to alleviate any dislocation and suffering that may be taking place now.
Prime Minister Holness says he will be planning an island-wide tour to get a first-hand view of the damage that has been caused by the flood rains. In the meantime, he asserts that government has been strategic in building the country's resilience to natural disasters, adding that despite the challenges of COVID-19 and weather shocks, the Jamaican economy is stable. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is now able to boost Jamaica's COVID-19 testing capacity after receiving a multi-partner donation of over 8,000 antigen rapid diagnostic tests. The donation includes 9 oxygen concentrators and more than 350,000 pieces of personal protective equipment. The PPEs consist of N95 respirators, face shields and medical masks, along with other essentials required to fight COVID-19. State Minister in the Ministry of Health and Wellness Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn says the introduction of antigen rapid testing comes at a critical stage in the COVID-19 response.
We see the surge happening in the United States and Europe, and the people of Jamaica now must understand what this pandemic is, what it can do to the people. And so, I'm very grateful for this donation today. And I think the people of Jamaica, they are also grateful for this donation today.
The minister was speaking yesterday during the handing over ceremony for the COVID-19 response items. The donation was made by the Pan American Health Organization and World Health Organization in partnership with the Government of the United Kingdom and the United Nations Multi-Partner Trust Fund. Government is expected to complete distribution of the 40,000 devices under the Tablets in Schools program during the first week of November. The tablets are for students in grades 4 to 6. Chief Executive Officer of eLearning Jamaica, Keith Smith, says the date was pushed forward from the end of November due to the urgent need for the devices. He has also informed that more tablets are coming for educators and students, which will provide a total of approximately 100,000 devices this year.
This year, we've already rolled out 22,500 teacher tablets. We have another 1,500 to do that we're sorting out the piece for. This program is 40,000 tablets. We've just got the nod for the second to last stage of the procurement process for another 16,000 tablets, which will go to high schools, grades 7, 8, and 9. And we're in the process of processing a procurement for 15,000 laptops, which will go to the high school students on path in grades 10, 11, 12, and 13 exam grades.
Mr. Smith was speaking at a ceremony to hand over tablets at the Buff Bay Primary School last Thursday. Technology Minister Darrell Vaz commended eLearning Jamaica for its work in procuring the devices with financing from the Universal Service Fund, the USF.
The work has not been easy. The coordination has not been easy. And therefore, I want to commend the Universal Service Fund and e-learning for making the technology accessible for our people, especially our students.
Minister Vaz says to date, $805 million has been spent on the Tablets for Teachers program and $700 million on the Tablets in Schools program. The Jamaica Fire Brigade is reporting that the Bushfire Warning Index is helping to improve firefighters' response to bushfires across the island. The brigade collaborated with the Meteorological Service of Jamaica to launch the Bushfire Warning Index and Management System in 2019. It helps stakeholders to assess and determine the likely occurrence of a bushfire.
We'll place certain units in certain places. We'll place tankers in certain places that didn't have tankers before to ensure that the water is greater in terms of the supply. It will also assist in guiding our hydrant maintenance program to ensure that the fire hydrants in certain places, as much as is possible, are in optimum working condition.
And finally, the Jamaica Information Service has extended the deadline for entries to its 2020 Heritage Competition from October 24 to October 31 at midnight. The annual competition, which targets students at the primary, secondary, and tertiary levels, is divided into 3 components: essay, poster, and photo. Primary students aged 9 to 12 years may enter the essay competition by identifying a Jamaican person or institution that exemplifies the excerpt from the National Pledge, "I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace," explaining the reason for their selection. For the poster competition, students at the secondary level are required to submit entries depicting the theme in one of 2 categories: graphic designs or illustrations. Tertiary students are invited to submit a photographic interpretation of the theme. More details on the competition can be found at the JIS's website at jis.gov.jm or by calling Christine Adigold at 876-926-3590-4, extension 2137 or 2132. Persons may also email heritagephoto@jis.gov.jm, heritageposter@jis.gov.jm, or heritageessay@jis.gov.jm. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk, and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Persistent rainfalls in recent weeks have caused devastation across the country, destroying homes and businesses. Coming up, a timely reminder of when to evacuate if a tropical system threatens.
Every month of the year, there has been in our history some incidents of flooding that has taken place in some aspect of the country. And that is something that we have to take note of. Apart from monitoring and giving the forecast, we are also responsible for warnings. And so there are some warnings that we want you to take special heed to if you consider yourself to be vulnerable in any situation. When we speak about a flash flood watch, it means that there is a feature, some kind of weather system that is going to produce enough rainfall that makes it possible for you to get flooding. So it means start to watch, because the water levels are going to be increasing and there is the possibility of the flooding. Now, if we start to see that in some area flooding has started to occur, or if we believe that the flooding has been so close to an area that it is going to happen in that area in a short space of time, we will escalate that flash flood watch and refer to it as a flash flood warning. So when we talk about a flash flood warning, it means not only that the flooding is possible, but the flooding either has already started to happen or is going to happen in a very short space of time because it is very close to that area. So it is important to know what the watch means as opposed to what the warning means. Usually with the warning, we will not only issue a warning, but we will also tell you what kind of actions are important or what you should not do. Like, do not go through flooded waterways because it could pose a risk to your life and to your property. Also, if you live in low-lying or flood-prone areas, if it is an area that is regularly experiencing flooding, a flash flood warning for your area would mean that now is the time to move to higher ground because the flooding has already started or is going to happen very shortly. It is also important for us to know where we live, because sometimes in our messages we might not refer to the actual town, but we will tell you what part of the country the flood watch or the flood warning is relevant to. So if we talk about central parishes, we are referring to Clarendon. We're also talking about Manchester. We're also talking about St. Anne. These are central parishes. So you have to be knowledgeable of where you live so that you know whether the message actually applies to you. The messages that we issue for hurricanes and tropical storms are watches and warnings as well, like the flooding. But in this case, for a tropical storm or a hurricane, when we issue a watch, it means the conditions that are associated with the storm or the hurricane are possible within a certain time frame. If you hear tropical storm or hurricane watch, you could get the impact of that system within a day and a half, 36 hours. If we mention that it is a tropical storm or a hurricane warning, it means that you only have 1 day before that thing can affect you. So we are moving to how quickly you need to make sure that you are prepared by naming it a watch or a warning. So the watch is the first level of the alert that there is something that is likely to affect you. But when we move to a warning, it means now is the time to batten down because you most likely are going to experience that storm or hurricane. We might have a tropical wave, which is the least of them, in that it can still cause a lot of rain and it can still cause flooding and devastation, but it will not have very strong winds associated with it. But then there is the tropical depression that is a little stronger because now you have winds that are moving with it, gusty winds, and it also has a lot of rainfall. Then you have tropical storms, which is a more severe kind of tropical depression because the winds are even stronger. And then if it gets even stronger, it could become a hurricane. So it's important that you have your radio and that your radio is battery controlled, not dependent on electricity, so that you can hear the warning messages that come from the meteorological service. Also bear in mind that if you dial 116, you will be able to hear the latest message coming out of the meteorological service related to any warnings. We cannot stop paying attention. We cannot let down our guard. You have to prepare yourself and stay prepared until we are out of the threat.
Are you a small to medium-sized tourism enterprise? Borrow up to $25 million at an interest rate of 5%. You can use the funding to develop and maintain your infrastructure, upgrade or increase your capacity, enhance and expand your attraction, tour or event, and purchase raw material. Call the Exim Bank and ask about the Tourism SMTE loan. Their numbers are 876-630-1400 or 876-618-5889. Tap into the over $3 billion earned yearly through tourism with a SMTE loan.
The government has decided to deepen its work within communities by upgrading the skill sets of rural businesses. Through the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, professionals such as farmers and craft traders are being trained to improve their enterprises. Take a look.
The National Development Plan, Vision 2030 Jamaica, outlines several goals to empower all Jamaicans to reach their fullest potential. A key step in achieving this target is creating equal opportunities to make a living from our abundant resources. The Jamaica Social Investment Fund, JSIF, through the Rural Economic Development Initiative READY, is doing just that, by improving the earning potential of persons in rural areas operating in the agriculture and tourism sectors. The first phase of the program, which ended in 2017 after a 7-year run, provided benefits to over 19,000 micro and small-scale rural agricultural producers, as well as tourism product and service providers. Now, READY is set for its second phase.
We want to improve the linkages of agriculture to tourism. We want to improve the ability of farmers to have climate resilient methodologies, that's drip irrigation, for example, protected agriculture. We want to improve the ability of community tourism enterprises to develop and become licensed to provide your services to our international guests.
With the support of a $40 million loan from the World Bank, READY 2 starts in 2020.
We want to enhance the competitiveness of both sectors, so we want to link our producers into strategic value chains, taking it from the primary production stage up through to the market, linking them not just to domestic markets but also to exports, as well as to build out more agritourism type ventures.
READY 2 will continue to build on partnerships with key government ministries, agencies and departments. These entities will receive technical assistance to improve their capacity to serve project beneficiaries. Across the island, especially in rural areas, cultivators depend on earning potential from farming to sustain themselves and their families. Lack of access to markets, climate change and unsustainable farming practices, however, continually threaten their livelihoods. READY 2 will seek to address those issues.
As it relates to climate resilient approaches, it involves looking at the farming practices, integrating more environmentally sound or green technologies in production, as well as in terms of alternative power or energy sources.
Registered farmers who are members of a cooperative or benevolent society are encouraged to apply for support to establish greenhouses, drip irrigation, water harvesting and storage systems, as well as other climate-smart land and soil conservation measures.
We also have a training component to ensure that the beneficiary group is prepared for business, because this is what READY 2 is all about, is to develop businesses among rural communities. These groups have to be legally registered, either as a cooperative, a benevolent society, or a special authorized society, but they have to be legally registered.
The project will target vulnerable groups such as women, youth, and persons with disabilities. Groups are encouraged to incorporate these individuals in their associations for inclusiveness.
Everything that you see on the farm right now is from READY. The plastic, the mesh, the irrigation system, the drums, everything. And we even receive training through them, all the necessary trainings that you would need to operate a greenhouse and to supply the wider market.
The project helped us in finding market. We got the market through RADA.
It has improved my life in the sense that I'm not financially dependent on anyone. I'm my own boss, so I choose the times I work, and it's working out quite well for me.
So in case we hadn't got assistance with any market for onions, we probably would have had onions sat around and spoil, or we might have had to give it away. However, we got that assistance and it was a profit.
And for those farmers who usually experience seasonal gluts, support will be given to construct more post-harvest and cold storage facilities.
Welcome to Charlestown Maroon Museum and a Sapphire.
Jamaica's culture is like no other, and there is great potential for communities with unique cultural, historical and natural resources to share their experiences with the world and advance their neighborhoods through community tourism enterprises, CTEs.
Charlestown Maroon Council had received maximum aid or assistance from Ready 1 and is looking forward to move on to Ready 2.
On the Ready 1, we did a lot of infrastructure investment, capacity building, training in Team Jamaica, in business, all the foundational work that would be required. And community tourism enterprises are now really ready to go into the big leagues.
CTEs will receive support in areas such as business planning, identifying target markets, product development, tour packaging, and marketing and promotion to expand their ventures.
The Charlestown Maroon community in itself has been benefiting from it. The people of the community, they are now able to come and they display their goods such as their craft, their fruits, their different things that they have done, and the tourists would buy what they have.
The Ready 2 project is poised to build and strengthen enterprises to improve Jamaica's agricultural production as well as tourism products and services in rural areas. Get more information on the project's benefits, eligibility, and access by contacting the Jamaica Social Investment Fund.
I really hope that those who are listening to my voice will take an introspection of themselves and check out how they have been operating the motorcycle. Are you operating with a helmet, an elbow pad, a knee pad, a jacket, a shoulder pad? Are you wearing shoes instead of slippers? Have you removed the mirrors from the motorcycles? Obedience better than sacrifice. Do the right thing. Are you going to ensure that you buckle up in the motor vehicle and the persons in the motor vehicle behind your back, your passengers, are they buckled up? Are you going to ensure that? Are you going to give yourself adequate time to reach your destination so that you don't have to be in any ears, so that you don't help to clog up the health sector? Nobody should be going to the hospitals because of traffic crashes. Nobody. They are preventable, they are avoidable. We can make better choice than that.
With everyone being at home more, vigilance is necessary to prevent accidental fires, especially by children. Next, measures you can take at home to avoid personal injury or damage to property.
Fire! Fire! My bed, my clothes.
Same script, different day. What's worse, sometimes a human being, even a child, dies in these unfortunate situations. The loss of lives and valuables as a result of fires is impacting those who remain behind. The mental effort to get up from the ashes. Taxpayers too are being burnt as more dollars are being shelled out for fire emergency operations. Homeowners must implement fire safety plans.
It is important for us to fireproof our homes because we have our families and we normally have strict guidelines as to how you operate within the home, how you store your chemicals as it relates to your kitchen, how you manage your heat sources, how you handle your plugs. So the safety measures that you take as it relates to the protection of your children.
Here are a few situations you must avoid to prevent losing your home to fire. Finally home from a tired day at work. The first thing many people do is get something to eat. Now, this is when a fire safety sin is usually committed, having a cigarette while tired or the stove is left on. What else at home are you not doing safely? Like this. using a computer or mobile phone on the bed. So they should not be used on flammable surfaces such as beds or sofas.
Leaving your cell phones on your bed can trigger the ignition temperatures of that spread or sheet and can actually cause a flame. So we encourage you not to leave your cell phones unattended. It's an active source of heat, and worse when it is charging. It has caused many house fires based on our statistics.
Between 2010 and so far in 2019, 100 children were burnt to death. One of the main causes of these deadly fires, a child left unattended with burning candles.
Based on investigation from fires, we find that most of the times it's because we leave our children unattended, right? So we leave them with the matches, we leave them with the candles, we leave them with the lighters, and we leave them with maybe a laptop or an iPod, something to keep their attention, but they are fascinated by a flame.
Here are some other factors found by the brigade to be the major causes of fires within the home. Clothes put to dry at the back of the refrigerator, storing plastics on cooking gas cylinders.
We identify this as a fire hazard because if you notice, it is pretty much close to the source of heat, which would have been the stove itself. All right? So we can have a spark from this. The Jamaica Fire Brigade encourages that cylinders over 30 pounds should be stored outside. So here we have two heat sources, a microwave and a toaster oven. All right? Plus, there is a charger plugged directly between both sources of heat. What we encourage is that there should be sufficient space to allow for air to pass through. In the bathrooms, the heat sources, for example, your blow dryer, you leave those on, running while you do other stuff, while you wash your face, something. But leaving them near your towels and your other materials that can burn, your clothes, that can spark flames.
As for power strips, they should not be overloaded.
So we also encourage that if you're using extension cords, do not run them behind furniture, do not run them under the carpet, because the constant pressure on the cords themselves will cause breakage. Again, if it is near a combustible material, it can cause a fire.
It is crucial that these fire safety measures are adhered to. Every home should have a fire safety plan that is known by each member of the household. Lastly, but very important, keep the numbers of the nearest fire station saved in your telephone contacts.
The general public can make a request for us to come inside the homes, check where you should have a smoke detector, check where an extinguisher should be, because you should have these in your homes as well.
You have reached the final page of the magazine. Thanks for being with us on today's journey. Another Jamaica Magazine unfolds tomorrow, so come back same time on this same station. Until then, click on our social media pages for more informative features. While there, please subscribe to our pages and click that notification bell so you can stay in the know. I'm Adrian Atkinson, encouraging you to stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.